Hello once again, my brothers and sisters. Today we're going to do the fifth last word of Jesus from the cross, which is probably one of the most painful ones to think about, which is, my God, which is, I thirst. I thirst. Okay. So we're going to think about. I just want you to think for a minute about everything that Jesus has been through in the past 24 hours. He's had the Last Supper and done some last teachings with the apostles. We had Judas, who went off and betrayed him, who went off to, as I said, betray him. He went to the Garden of Gethsemane, where he had prayed in the garden. He was arrested, had his trial, or he was betrayed by his friend. He had his trial before the high priest at the time, Caiaphas. He was probably, at the very least, physically beaten up here. He went from there at daybreak to Herod. He went at daybreak, he went from the high priest to Pilate. Pilate, hearing that Jesus is from Galilee, sends him to King Herod, who basically says, this guy's not a problem, he's just crazy. He sends a bit to Pilate, who has him scourged. And then finally, he's crucified. Now, in this time, I want you to think, Jesus would have lost a lot of sweat. We know he sweat in the Garden of Gethsemane. His sweat actually turned to drops of blood. So he's losing fluid here. From what I can tell, or from what's recorded, probably again did not drink anything since last night. So he's lost sweat. He's more than likely was sweating with fatigue over when he was walking to Calvary. Very likely sweating. He was losing blood from the scourging. Crown of thorns would have been sharp and would have, your head is very vascular. So he would have been bleeding pretty profusely. And so he's losing sweat, he's losing blood. He probably hasn't, given that he probably has not had anything to drink since last night. It is said that he is offered a mixture of wine, probably probably some kind of something that would dull the senses, dull the pain of the crucifixion, but he refused to drink this. So he's severely dehydrated. Severely dehydrated. At this point, probably, I can imagine, his body is going into shock from the effects of all the beatings, blood loss, fluid loss. He's dehydrated. And so I just want you to imagine in his agony, just crying out, just this plaintive cry from just inside of him. I thirst. I thirst. Now, we do know that when he says this, one of the guards took a sponge soaked in wine and vinegar. He put it on a hyssop. He put it up to Jesus's lips, and it is recorded that Jesus does drink there. Whether the guard, the soldier here, does this out of sympathy from hearing this pitiful and plaintive cry from Jesus in his last moments, or whether crucifixion was a very calculated thing. It was meant to be a long, drawn out, painful, and humiliating death. Whether this was to help, whether this was sympathy, or whether this was, oh, well, I'll give him something to drink so that he can stay alive a little bit longer, to draw this out, to draw this punishment out, this execution out. I don't think we're ever going to have the answer to that. I leave that up to what your thoughts are. And we do know from gospel readings that not long after this, he does die. Not long after this. So, one of the things, and they couldn't have known, one of the worst things that you can do with someone who is in shock, which probably was, is give them something to drink. Although at this point, I think it's a moot point. They wouldn't have, even had the soldiers known this, they wouldn't have cared. Had they known this, they wouldn't have cared. But another thing that people tend to think of with this is, remember how I had mentioned in the truly, truly I say to you, this day you shall be with me in paradise. Jesus here on the cross has mounted his throne and taken his place as the king of the universe, but the king of mercy. I desire you. I thirst for you. I thirst for the souls that I've come to die for. I thirst to pour out my mercy, my salvation, the mercy, the salvation that I've come to bring. I thirst for souls to come to me. I thirst for souls to come to me. All of these who I love and have come to save, I thirst for them. He's thinking of you. Again, none of Jesus's last words, people, even in the depth of his suffering, even in the unimaginable, horrendous suffering that he's going through at this particular moment, none of his last words here are about him and what he's thinking of other people. He's thinking of you. The next two words are going to be the last words that Jesus says at the end of the cross, at the end of his life, showing the finality of the messianic mission that he came to. And we will get to that. And so I will see you next time, brothers and sisters. And please remember, always remember, you, yes you, even if you were the only person on earth, Jesus still loves you so much that he still would come to earth and die just for you. And so I pray that God blesses you on your Lenten journey until we see each other again. And brothers and sisters, if you like what the content I've been having here, write a comment. I love to hear comments. A like, a subscribe, if you feel like it. And may God bless you.